were taught at a young age to be there for people and to give back and to work hard. But the one thing that followed me from baseball was that resiliency. Nobody played harder than I did. It's not unusual to be there for people you love.
Welcome back to the Salem Speakers Podcast. Today's guest has spent his life helping people perform at a higher level. First as a professional baseball player, and today as a nationally recognized speaker, author, and founder of a movement that's changing lives across the country. Marc Heyison is the founder of Men Supporting Women with Cancer, the nation's first nonprofit dedicated to educating and empowering men to become better caregivers when cancer impacts the women they love. He's the author of multiple books on caregiving and has spent years helping families navigate one of the most difficult seasons they'll ever face. Marc, my friend, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Great to be here. Appreciate it.
Before we talk about the incredible work you've done today, I'd love to just start a little bit with your story. Like, who is Marc? Like, who were you before all of this began? Take us all the way back and start to share a little bit of your story with us.
Well, Marc's story began a long time ago, unfortunately, at this point, but I was always something I think raised by my mom and dad, the way my brother and I were. We were taught at a young age to be there for people and to give back and to work hard. No excuses. Do what you're supposed to. You tell somebody you're going to do it, you do it. And that's the way we were brought up. And as you fast forward into my younger life, I was a pretty good athlete. Played professional baseball with the Orioles. Had a pretty good college career. Was fifth leading hitter in the country at one point my junior season. And unfortunately, I had three surgeries on my shoulder that kind of ended my baseball career before it really got started. I got drafted by the Orioles in 1983 in the 9th round, and wasn't able to. I got released in 1985 because of the shoulder. The sad thing for me was I hadn't gotten to the point where I could say everybody was better than I was. I think I was doing okay. I think I would have made AA, maybe AAA. At that point, it's a crapshoot because the talent is there. But, I look at it this way. There's a lot of people that were better than I ever was, never got the chance that I did. So I was thankful for that. Now that I'm older, I really would have liked to see how far I could go. But the one thing that followed me from baseball was that resiliency. Nobody played harder than I did. I'm not saying I played harder than anybody else, but I was a competitor. I hated to lose, and I worked my backside off and did whatever I could to immerse myself to get better. And that's what followed me into these later chapters in my life.
The opportunity to play professional baseball, I can imagine, like many young athletes, that's the dream. You already started going after it a little bit, which was like, what are the main lessons? If there was like one main lesson from baseball that still shapes the way you live today, what would you say that might be?
It sounds kind of cliche-ish, but when I got knocked down, I always got back up. I would hated to lose, like I mentioned previously, and I would be pissed when I would lose. But I would get up and say, okay, what do I need to do differently to make sure this doesn't happen again? So there was the determination. I've had some people tell me that I was a pretty good basketball player too, that they never played with anybody that was tougher. To me, was a huge compliment.
Yeah,
because I was tough and I was undersized. That was always the thing that differentiated me, because I was short then. I'm short now. Even back in the 80s, they were looking for bigger, taller guys. But I was as fast, could throw better, hit as far, hit as good, because it would be, well, you can't do something, which was the motivating force to me. I want somebody to tell me I can't do it, because then I'm going to go show you I can do it.
That's
and
right.
Nothing's going to get in my way. So I guess determination would be the one word.
Yeah, I love that. So you alluded a little bit earlier, life is long, a thing or two, because you've seen a thing or two. What point in your life did you realize that your greatest impact maybe wouldn't come from sports?
Well, for me, my life changed in 1992 when I heard the 5 most horrific words I ever heard. Your mom has breast cancer. So to me, I was a grown man, and I specifically remember saying, oh my God, my mommy is going to die. And I did think the word mommy because I felt like a little boy. I was so scared and petrified that the person that shaped my brother and I had something that we couldn't do anything about. So that fear, that helplessness, that hopelessness that person's going to die is absolutely something I hope people have never had to feel. And metaphorically, this was around the time when we actually had car phones installed into our vehicles. And I remember taking my phone because I found out the biopsy was positive, and I tossed the phone and it skipped off my dashboard and spidered my windshield.
Wow.
And I felt, oh my God, what my life is like now. It's just this spider web of uncertainty. But again, the way we were brought up, we were there. It was our turn to be there for my mom. All this training my mom and dad gave my brother and I, and now it's coming to fruition. We just intuitively knew what to do. It was time to rally my mom and be there, not raising our hand and say, what can we do? Raising our hand and saying, what do you want us to do? And we'll be there with you every step of the way. And I think that's where it changed.
Obviously, that is kind of the starting point, if you will, that led you to create Men Supporting Women with Cancer. But can you elaborate that storyline with me? Like, how did that come to be? Obviously, we're missing a part of the journey because now we just got to the start of your mom's diagnosis. But can you walk us through from the starting of the diagnosis to what led you to create Men Supporting Women with Cancer?
It all started maybe a year or two after my mom's treatment. And let me just jump to the end. My mom's going to be 90 years old in September, and it's still the reason I do what I do out of love for her. So I thank God that she's still around to see what's being done in her honor, not her memory.
That's right. Praise the Lord.
Once my mom was done with her treatment, I did what a lot of guys did. I knew some people, and I started having a golf tournament to raise money for breast cancer. My mom was diagnosed through early detection, and I wanted to give back to underserved mammography programs so people would have access to the same quality of care that my mom did. So after, I'm going to kind of gloss over a little bit, after I did the first couple of golf tournaments, the money went through the American Cancer Society to George Washington University's mobile mammography program, which, as a side note, I was born there. And I went to college there. So there's kind of a full circle there for me as well. But along the way, it started becoming more of a passion, a calling that, wow, I really being able to know that the money we're raising is making a difference to somebody. I cannot put it into words, only to bring it back to sports. The first game my parents came to see me play after I got drafted by the Orioles, I was in Bluefield, West Virginia. They were sitting behind home plate. I hit a home run. And I remember circling the bases like, oh my God, my mom and dad are here. And I was able to go yard. So I crossed home plate. I looked up at my parents and I tipped my helmet to them because I wouldn't have been there without them.
Yeah.
That feeling, talking to you now, I get goosebumps 40 some years later. But that same feeling pales to knowing that we've made a difference in somebody's life, because to me, there's nothing more important than any of us is to give back and to be there and help somebody. And I know it sounds so simplistic, but it's so true. Knowing that some of our programming that we've developed, and I know you asked me what led up to it, has helped people across the United States. I can't even put it into words. I just feel so blessed that people, like what we offer, and they want it because it's made a difference in their life. The 2 golf tournaments started into my first nonprofit, the Marc Heyison Breast Cancer Foundation, which was to help raise money for underserved mammography. From there, we're in the mid-90s, late 90s, I started Men Against Breast Cancer, the first and only national nonprofit whose mission is to educate and empower men to be effective caregivers. From there, we were able to secure, through people from Johns Hopkins and Mayo Clinic, the National Black Leadership Initiative on Cancer Council 3, the first grant ever given to a men's group to fight breast cancer. We developed our signature workshop through that called Partners in Survival, which we've had in 37 states in Canada. Wow. Again, the sports analogy is, Mark, you'll never be able to do this because you won't be able to do something for men only. So immediately I heard, you're too short to play baseball. You're too short to play basketball. And I'm like, okay, fine. So, I'm the principal investigator on a grant with these people that are so much smarter than I am. It's ridiculous. But I'm sitting there trying to direct them on how I want a program to be. And I was like, look, you guys have the brain power and the wherewithal and the expertise. Let's just put this together that can help people. And that's really what we did.
So it literally comes down to the thought process of like, somebody has to do something about this. That person is going to be you. Why do you think men are being overlooked in this conversation?
Great question. So I was guilty. And I'll tell you how the mission statement was born for Men Against Breast Cancer. And as we transitioned to Men Supporting Women with Cancer, is I was in a meeting with two incredibly intelligent men, Matthew Lascalzo, Jim Zabor, both the leading experts in their field, Jim on evaluation, Matt on the psychosocial aspect of cancer in men. And I was having my first meeting with them. And I said, well, men are dumb, men are stupid. Matt introduced me and says, Mark, let me correct you. He goes, men aren't dumb, men aren't stupid. You want to educate and empower them to be effective caregivers. Notice the transition. I said, can I use that as the mission statement? That statement is so true. Men are overlooked when given the chance. They're great caregivers. Now, I'm not saying there's knuckleheads that don't step up to the plate. Don't misunderstand me.
Yeah.
But the one generality that I've seen across this country, I don't care what color you are, who you pray to, or how much money you have in your pocket. I mentioned to you earlier, all men are afraid. They all feel hopeless and helpless that the person they love is going to die. And what happens, we want to fix it. We can't fix it. We need to be there. We need to be there with her side by side. So what happens, again, generally speaking, if we don't think we're doing something, if we don't think we're fixing it, we pull back and shut down because we think we failed the person we love. So we come across as aloof and uncaring, which is the exact opposite. Men need to be engaged at the time of diagnosis. Yeah. And when they are there for the women they love.
So when a wife or a mother or a sister or a daughter receives a cancer diagnosis, what usually happens emotionally for the men who are around them?
Well, as I mentioned, the first thing is you're afraid they're going to die. And that's universal. Right. And it's when we do a workshop, the Partners in Survival workshop, it's the hardest thing I ever have to say. And in fact, we've had women point out to us that they just want to hear them acknowledge that. Because if you can, just think how much closer you can. Yeah. You become because you've acknowledged your greatest fear. And then we want to make sure, then we want to fix it. Well, you can't fix it. So to me, it's family, being there, and what's more important. 1 word, 2 word, 3 words. It's being there side by side for that person. You take a family photo, my family. You take my mom's picture out of it, face out of it. It's not a family. So the hardest thing is sometimes the thing that's the most effective is just sometimes just being there side by side with her, with your arm around her and putting your arms around her, not a stiff upper lip, but put your arms around her so she knows you love her and you're going to be there with her. And the other thing, one thing, I don't go doing a workshop. I don't give a talk or a keynote and say, here's the top 10 things you need to do. I always tell people, if you run across somebody that says, here's the top 10 things to do, run from them because there is no top 10. Yeah. The only thing that matters is what's appropriate for you and your family. But what is overall arch of all that is she knows you're going to be there with her every step of the way, because the one thing we can do by being there, she can focus on her treatment better and improve the quality of her survivorship. That's the best we can do.
What is one thing that every man should know if someone he loves is diagnosed with cancer?
I think it's a combination of a one thing. Again, the overall arch is letting them, her, whoever it is that you're there for, let them know that you love them and you're going to be there for them and do whatever you can so that she can focus on her treatment. And also for a guy, know it's okay to be afraid. It's normal and natural to be afraid. If you're not afraid, you should take a closer look in the mirror. But in terms of the patient, be there as much as you can. If you can't go to the doctor's appointments, arrange somebody to go.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things for guys, we still like to have our to-do list and check things off. That's part of it. But overall, emotionally, is to make sure she knows you love her and you're going to be there. And that she has the remote control. Yeah. Everything is dictated about what's right for her, where she is in her treatment.
Well, as we segue into something called Partners in Survival, it's a program you created. Are you able to elaborate a little bit more about that and tell me what that is?
Well, it was created through the grant from the CDC with people. It's based on a proven problem-solving model called COPE. It stands for Creativity, Optimism, Planning, Expert Information. I always tell people I say it because it took me 5 years to memorize it. There you go. But it's problem solving. It's what we all do every day. But when you're in the throes of a life-threatening disease like breast cancer or any debilitating issue, it becomes even more challenging. So it's what you can do as a couple and how you can solve problems that come up. that's best for you and your family. So we try to offer a toolkit, a blueprint for survival on ways that you can navigate this crisis together. And the more you're doing it together, guess what? The better the quality of survivorship is. Whether you think you're succeeding or not, you're getting closer as a couple. And if you're getting closer as a couple, the patient, the woman you love, knows you're going to be there for her. Feels like the treatment's going to be better. Her family's there. Her husband, significant other's going to be there with her every step of the way. I'm a son that's mom had breast cancer, so I don't know what it's like to be the husband or the father of someone that was dealing with something like that. So that's what I needed to focus on, was staying in my lane as a son.
Well, you've spent years walking alongside families during some of the hardest moments of their lives. How has that changed you personally?
It's incredibly humbling. I joke where when I'm leading a workshop, I tell people that if my wife were to see me lead this, she'd go, wait a minute, that's not him. He's an A+ personality, which I am, but I kind of think I've gone from an A+ to an A- personality. Things that would tend to really, I'm a perfectionist by nature, things that would tend to get under my skin, not so much anymore. And then you just realize with all the crap that's going on that we have in our own lives, it could always be worse. And again, I know it's simplistic, but I look at some of these incredible families and men that I've been, again, I use the word blessed to meet across this country and in Canada, the way that they're there for their families. And it just gives you the sense of there is good out there and we need to focus on that. And it's just sad that people have to go through it, but it's really heartwarming to me that know that there's other people that step up, and we all step up in different ways. Again, there's no formula that you need to do X, Y, and Z to be there. It doesn't work that way. I'll give you the best analogy I ever had for what we try to do. I was doing a workshop in South Dakota years ago, and there was an older gentleman whose wife had just been diagnosed with breast cancer, and he was a physician. And we were having dinner before the workshop, and he said, Mark, when my wife and I would have a conversation, code Midwest conversation argument, he goes, we would go in the kitchen and sit down, and he would look at her, and he would say, am I listening or am I solving? So I looked at him and said, well, if you get up and say that before the workshop starts, we're done. Because that's the thing. We need to listen, not to solve, but to hear.
That's right.
And we want to solve everything and we can't. And that's the hardest thing in the world, especially in a situation like that, to sometimes let go of that power to want to be able to solve it. You can't solve it.
When you look back on your life and the years as you worked your way through this, and we're talking about baseball and writing and speaking and building nonprofits and serving families, what would you say makes you the proudest?
I think to know that in some way we've helped other people. I get very uncomfortable when people will say, oh, well, I'm quote unquote an expert on male caregiving. I don't know that I am. I know I've learned everything that I've shared with you. I've learned from other people. So it's not something that I said, oh, well, I came up with this. No, I didn't. I learned from other people and saw what they did. And I guess maybe able to translate into that methodology that we share with other people.
Yeah.
So I think being able to take it and mold it and put it back out there. I don't think, it's funny. If you would ask me if I was a good baseball player, I would say, no, I was a great baseball player. But when you ask me about this, it's very humbling because I don't think it's anything out of the ordinary. I use, again, an analogy is people would say, oh, Men Against Breast Care. It's a men supporting women with cancer. What a unique idea. And I would look at them and say, what's unique about it? Why is it unique to be there for someone you love?
Yeah.
So when I get to the point, or hopefully it gets to the point where people go, oh, men supporting women with cancer, that's the way it is. Then I'll know we've done our job because it's part of the norm and not people, oh, it's unusual. No, it's not. It's not unusual to be there for people you love.
Yeah. What do you hope that people remember about you? And at the end of your life, what do you want to be personally remembered for?
That I was there for people. What you do when no one's looking matters more than when people are looking, because it's what you do behind closed doors. And, I think it, two quotes. One I use all the time in all my remarks is Martin Luther King said, everybody can be great because everybody can serve. It only takes a heart full of grace and a soul generated by love.
That's awesome.
So I think that, and then part of a Maya Angelou quote is that people forget what you said, people will forget what you do, but people never forget the way you make them feel.
That's right.
And I think it all comes down to being there for other people.
Man, I love that. Well, as we begin wrapping up, I want to hit you with a few rapid fire questions just to
Okay.
just to have you
Got to
shoot off.
answer?
Yeah, right. If you
Okay.
can. If not, we can cut
Okay.
them out. Right. We can omit it.
Okay. All right. Go.
And some of it we already covered, but it's almost as like a little
Okay.
recap. And so we'll just kind of go through them quick, which is the first one. What's one core lesson that baseball taught you?
Resilience.
Resilience. I love that. What's one lesson that caregiving taught you?
Being there no matter what.
Love that. What's one thing every husband should know?
Coming towards your wife with open arms and not a clenched, muscled fist is what she wants more than anything. She wants to know you're going to be there by her side.
I love that. What's one thing that every family needs more of?
Family time, being there for each other, sitting down and talking. Family dinners. We try to have dinner every Sunday at the dining room table. Minimize all the electronics. We could have a separate segment on that.
There you go. Could be a whole nother podcast.
Yes.
What is one thing that people wait too long to say?
Well, I think I love you, I'm afraid, or I'm scared. I think any of those three things, those emotions.
That's powerful. And the last one here, what does legacy mean to you?
That's some of what I've hopefully modeled for my daughter translates into her as a woman and as her as a mother. So it keeps building and goes generationally on the importance of being there for people.
That's awesome. And if we could segue a little bit forward, you mentioned to me during one of our coaching calls and privately that you're going to be launching a podcast of your own with her.
My daughter's going to be 21 in August. She's actually a Paralympian. She's been on Team USA for 3 years and shot put and discus, has won a couple medals internationally, undersized like her dad, competing against athletes that are much bigger than her, not stronger and not bigger heart. But one thing that I did for Samantha, well, when the day she was born, I wrote a letter to her called, "May you always be safe in Daddy's arms." And it's something that I've tried to live up to no matter what. I'm always there for her as she gets older and transitions into her own life and her own family, that she can call me to the day I leave this earth, and I'll be there for her. And starting in middle school, I gave her a quote every day, Stoics quote, Martin Luther King. It's so varied on the things I tried to instill in her. And even when she's in college now, I text her one every morning and we talk about them. And there's some things that I came up with her that we share called A plus B equals C, actions plus behavior equals consequences. So I try to instill in her your actions, your behavior, your consequences. You don't blame anybody else.
That's right.
So you've got to be responsible for that. And then something else we started doing when she was 5 or 6 till she was 10, I came up with this thing called TAG, thankful, appreciative, and grateful. And we started a TAG notebook that she had to come home every day from school and write something that for all three that she was thankful, appreciative, and grateful for. And I think that matters. And the podcast is really a compilation of those. And I think we're still messing around with titles, but I think it's going to be A Dad and His Promise.
I like it.
And we're going to sit, and we don't even need to write anything because the quotes are there, talk about how it affects our lives and what she agrees with, what she doesn't agree with. And it's more to let her share her voice as she goes to the next generation, what the old guy was saying. And so I'm kind of excited because we have a pretty good relationship, and I think it's going to be pretty neat.
That's awesome. Well, I'm excited for it. Can't wait to listen to it. And Marc, I'm so grateful that you took time out of your day to be here with us, and for all of our listeners, whether they see this as a video, clips of it, or listen to the entire podcast. One thing that really stands out from today's conversation and even our past coaching call is that some of the greatest acts of leadership never actually happen on stage, right? For us as speakers, they happen in the hospital rooms, around the kitchen tables, during difficult conversations. And it's in those quiet moments that I believe impactful things happen, right? It's in those quiet moments when someone simply chooses to stay. For everyone listening today, you don't have to have all the answers, as we learned. You don't have to fix every problem. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give another person is simply your presence. So show up, listen, love well, because those are the moments that often become the moments people remember for the rest of their lives. Marc, if someone wants to connect with you, or someone wants to learn about your nonprofit, or even just maybe even get on a call with you to learn about your incredible work and the way you're serving the world, where does somebody go to learn more about you?
So first, if somebody reaches out, I will be that person that gets back to you, because it does happen a lot where people reach out and say, well, I didn't expect to hear from you. And I say, well, what'd you reach out to me for?
Right.
So in any event, our website is all spelled out: Men Supporting Women with Cancer. My email address is Marc, M-A-R-C, at Men Supporting Women with Cancer. And, I'm happy to help in any way I can. So,
and as a tech nerd, I want to finish. It's mensupportingwomenwithcancer.org.
.org. I'm sorry, correct.
.org.
Thank
So
you. Yes.
Want to make sure that's in there. Mensupportingwomenwithcancer.org. And Marc, I'm so grateful for you, so grateful for your time, so grateful for the impact that you are making on this world. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode here on the Salem Speakers Podcast.
Well, thanks for the opportunity.
We'll see you guys next time.